Hey everyone, it's Emily with Spiceworks. Thanks for tuning in today and joining us on another Spiceworks Partner webinar, Proactive Machine Intelligent Wi-Fi as a Service, brought to you by Art2Wave. Before we get started, I do want to remind everyone this webinar is being recorded, so if you have to step away for any reason, you will get an email with a link to the video in about a week. Also, there's a Q&A box on your screen to the left. I encourage you to submit your questions at any time during the presentation, and we'll get to those questions at the end via a verbal Q&A, but if your question isn't addressed live, someone will be able to follow up with you. Now I'd like to introduce our presenter, John Hanahan, VP of Marketing. So John, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily. Appreciate the intro. I don't know if I can keep up that energy level throughout the webinar, so hopefully you guys have a cup of coffee in front of you, and hopefully the content here will speak for itself. I've been with Art2Wave here for the last 6 months or so. So we're a new company focused in the Wi-Fi space, and we think we have a very unique solution that we want to present to the market. This is our first opportunity presenting to the Spiceworks community. We started working with the Spiceworks gang a little bit ago. We really feel like this is a great set of folks to get feedback from and present our solution to. So we encourage your participation, your questions, and so forth. So with that, let's dive in. So, what we see from a wireless perspective is a lot of the challenges around Wi-Fi use. You guys are seeing it every day around the new devices that are coming on, the multiple devices per user, the apps, etc. The standards are consistently evolving, and customers, your people working for your organizations, people coming onto the network, guests, etc., are expecting a very always-on type Wi-Fi experience with the highest performance and reliability. And what hasn't changed in the Wi-Fi industry, even as new organizations have come on and offered new architectures and new developments, especially with the cloud, is that the solutions today continue to be challenging to operate. They're troubleshooting, the troubleshooting and optimization aspects take time. There's no immediate response in terms of the effectiveness of those things oftentimes. And the length of time it takes to get data back is significant. And one of the issues is the businesses are spending a significant amount of time just simply maintaining the network, not growing the revenue, not enabling things to perform better, not really innovating within the IT organization. So what we're really focused on is helping to operate an end-to-end proactive Wi-Fi as a service for enterprises. So this is an end-to-end service. We're providing all the elements there, and I'll talk about what exactly that solution looks like. But the goal is really to free the IT organization from the operational and break-fix headaches of the wireless solution so that you guys can provide more value to the business. I've not met a single IT professional in my 20-some-odd years in this business that has extra time. There's always way more things to do. There's always things that are constantly getting in the way. And at the end of the day, a lot of the things that are fire drills or urgent are the things around the operations of the network. And so a lot of the things that really add value, that really make a difference, are the things that you guys are kind of pushing down the road, they're putting off. The other element that we really try to address is taking away that huge capital expenditure associated with network refreshes. So our OpEx consumption model is as you would think about from a SaaS, software as a service sort of model. It's completely subscription-based. There's no hardware to buy. We provide the access point hardware. And additionally, you never have to refresh your access point again. So what that means is we provide the initial AP, and after the 4th year, we refresh that AP as a part of your subscription. In the midst of that, say 2 years down the road, there's a compelling technology event, and you want to upgrade that access point as a part of that. There's a small fee associated with that. We've got kind of a graduated scale that we do. So in year one, after year one, if you want to pay $100 for the latest and greatest, AC technology or whatever the next one is, you can do that. Year 2, $75. Year 3 is $50 per AP. So we try to make it very, very easy for you to stay within the latest and greatest technology while also providing a fantastic end user experience based upon our machine intelligence system that helps solve user issues in real time. And I'll talk about how we do that and what the methods are. The team that we've assembled within the company is a very strong technical and management team with decades of experience in networking, wireless LAN, AI, and cloud computing. And one of the things that we're really focused on is service design and making sure that we're creating an outstanding experience from the initial setup of the system to viewing the information, having decision-ready data, but also delivering an excellent end-user experience. So some of the things that we see from Gartner is that you guys are consistently under stress, and this is something that I think is fairly common, and we will have a couple of poll questions just to get some insight from you guys on what your own experiences are. But what Gartner says is that a lot of the issues that are identified are done so by the end users. Downtime is significantly a lot of the times it's due to human error. And that a lot of that may be just because you guys are so frantic trying to go from one issue to the other. And the biggest challenge in terms of mean time to resolution is really just identifying the problem. So that presents an issue where, for the most part, you're spending most of your time problem solving and not growing and innovating to the business. And I alluded to this issue before. Now, what I'd like to do is kind of figure out how big of an issue this is for you guys. I'd like your input, so I've got a quick poll question here, if you guys wouldn't mind taking a few moments just to provide us some info. We really value your feedback as part of this community. Now, one of the things that we look at is what is the current state of the wireless networking space today. So, the traditional solutions, obviously they need to work 24/7, but the complexity out there is significant. More users are coming on board, more applications, more devices. The devices are constantly changing. The software loads on those devices are different. Apple laptops may perform differently than the iPhone, than the tablet, and figuring out how to do that. Chromebooks have been, traditionally challenging to handle, especially in the K-12 space where you may be deploying one-to-one type solutions. So troubleshooting that is challenging, but IT at the end of the day has to buy and maintain that solution, and that's the way it's been for a long time, and that hasn't changed even with the advent of some of the cloud platforms that were brought in by Meraki and Aerohive. What we're trying to do is give you a solution that's going to work 24/7 at any location. We're really focused on making sure that you can enable your remote solutions very, very effectively without ever having to go on site. The other thing is a proactive response. That's a key deliverable for us, is to be able to understand what's happening on the network, see the issues before you're aware of them, and be able to respond to them proactively in resolving those issues. And we'll talk about how we do that. The benefit of this is that the IT expertise is not necessarily required. So, for those of you out there that are managing Wi-Fi networks and having to troubleshoot those and struggling to study and keep up with that, we want to make sure that in those sort of cases, you don't need to have a lot of expertise. We're the experts. We're the ones that are automating the solution in a way that enables you to focus on the priorities within your organization and free up your time. But also for those people that don't necessarily have a ton of IT expertise around RF, around troubleshooting Wi-Fi, our solution makes it very easy for them to be able to deploy and operate while getting a fantastic experience. And then the TCO is really targeted at the same or better as a typical cloud-based solution. So when you look at the overall cost of ownership, we would expect you to be paying less than you are today with our solution. Now I have another quick poll question for you guys. Just want to try and understand how many hours per week you're spending troubleshooting for client connectivity and RF performance, and see how big of an issue this is for you. And then we'll talk a little bit about how our proactive response is different than the traditional vendor's reactive response. We'll give folks just a minute or two to click on the button there, and then we'll move on. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. So let's look at the reactive versus proactive type response. So in the traditional environment, the issue pops up, the IT organization is made aware of a potential problem. You guys will start to explore that. You'll iterate on that. You may work with your solution provider. You may then work, your solution provider may try a couple things. You may then go to the vendor to troubleshoot the issue and so on. And then at the end of the day, you'll implement something, try something that might not work. You try something else. It takes some time, hours, days, weeks to effectively solve the problem. In our world, what we're doing is we're seeing the issue in real time. Our machine intelligent system on the back end is able to identify those problems. We run it through our expert system and the machine learning capabilities that we have, and we're able to diagnose and remedy those problems in seconds and minutes. And that's really how we're able to scale our proactive response, is through the automation there. So we've built the expert system and the machine learning techniques to be able to really understand what's happening in the network. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on that here momentarily. You're going to have full visibility as the IT organization to the health and activities within the network. So there's a very robust cloud portal, but also a mobile application on both Android and the iPhone that allows you to really understand what's happening in the network, what's happening with the users, what's happening with performance, and you have both real-time and historical views to go in and really understand that. And we know how much time you guys are spent away from your desk, and so the mobile application is just as important as the portal, and we think that that'll ultimately get used as much or more from that perspective. So our solution, at the end of the day, it's intended to be a comprehensive service. So we're integrating a traditional cloud-managed Wi-Fi networking platform with our proactive service and network operations. The machine intelligence, the machine learning and other AI techniques basically allow us to diagnose, troubleshoot, and optimize your network. So imagine the network information that we're gathering. Traditional vendors will gather statistics about the health of the network, once every 10 or 15 minutes or so to look at that data. And this is not payload per se. All the local data, all the data that's being transmitted stays local, but it's really around what's happening in the RF environment, what's happening with the connectivity, the performance, and so on. There's thousands of pieces of information that can be collected, and what we've done is really instrumented our system to be able to gather that data and send it to our system once every 10 seconds. And that's what we use to really understand the health of the network and how the Wi-Fi is really performing and what the user experience. And that's what enables us to be able to do this in real time in a way that no one else has been able to do. And with that information, we're providing monitoring and proactive support. So the network is being monitored effectively 24/7 by our experts, and we provide proactive response. The machine system is effectively that level 1, level 2 network engineer. But even when issues go beyond that, our team is backing that up. And so then the solution really is the evergreen AP. We talked about that, so you don't have to worry about, am I buying for wave 1 or wave 2 or the subsequent technology node within the hardware perspective. Your performance the outcome is guaranteed as a part of the service, and we're providing you the next generation technology as a part of your subscription. You get the cloud web portal. And one of the things that we've tried to do is make the cloud system and the mobile app very, very simple. So we like we liken it to being able to make the setup and get the network up and running. We know that there's organizations out there, smaller businesses, medium-sized businesses, schools, community centers, nonprofits, et cetera, where you don't always have IT staff available, especially as you have remote sites. So what we've done is tried to really make the setup and install as simple as, you give it to the janitor or the electrician, or you give it to the office manager or the admin, and all they got to do is plug it in. Your facilities person can hang it, plug it in. We actually are providing the recommendation of the placement and the the RF capabilities that we're able to see within the system allow us to tune the strength of the RF, the channels, and so on, so that the days of having to perform exhaustive site surveys are effectively over. The smartphone app, we talked a little bit about that, and then our cloud platform, the machine intelligent proactive support that we provide on the back end. So that's really kind of the end-to-end comprehensive service that we're talking about. So what's new about the technology that we're providing? So one of the things that's really critical is the AI elements around the service. And so we've got 9 patents that are pending currently. We've got another handful that are in process. We're leveraging the RF and networking and security expertise, and we're embedding that into the system. So imagine an expert system that's based upon, you know, the first 100 things that a level 1, level 2 support personnel would do. We're embedding that into the system, into our rule system, and we're giving that parameters which would to act. It's equivalent to thousands of hours of study. And then beyond that, what we do is we have the machine learning system that is able to then learn and understand and then start to make recommendations based upon what it's doing. So it's and the beauty about that is it's both global and site-specific learning. So so new devices, you know, think about the holidays are coming up, and you're at a local school, and all the kids come in with their new iPhone 6s, and the iPhone 6 may be relatively new to your environment, and all of a sudden it creates some havoc because you haven't seen that, and your system isn't quite ready for the latest software release or what have you. We'll learn from that, enable that system to work well with that type of device. But then we also deploy that learning across the network very, very seamlessly, which benefits all the other users on the other networks outside that particular customer. So that global and site-specific learning then creates a network effect across the install base, and that's where really you get a huge benefit over some of the other vendors in this space. So how do we look at ourselves differently? So, you know, most of our team is made up of folks that work for a number of these other logos. And this isn't meant to be an exhaustive list. What it's trying to do is really show the approach that some of these other vendors are looking at. So if you look at your typical controller plus AP sort of model, vis-a-vis Cisco and Aruba, it's really a capital expenditure. You buy the APs up front, and then there's some sort of either subscription or service expense beyond that. Aerohive and Meraki is similar. It's cloud managed, so you don't have the controller on premise, but it's a capital expenditure plus a subscription service on the back end. And then Ubiquiti has recently introduced their 100% CapEx model with their solution. Ruckus with their Exclaim solution, Open Mesh, very similar model. The way we look at ourselves is really we're integrating that wireless LAN system with the proactive service delivery. We're using our patented AI system to enable a proactive response at scale. We're also monitoring the other network services around that and alarming that. So DHCP, DNS, radius, things that often get blamed upon Wi-Fi. Remember, we're trying to provide an outcome. We're trying to provide a fantastic user experience. So we're trying to do more than just make sure that the channels are being managed appropriately, or we're looking at the RF environment, or we're looking at the user connectivity. We want to look at all these different things that ultimately impact whether or not that user using that device has got a great experience. And then the other piece is the 100% OpEx model, which includes the free hardware upgrades as new technology standards emerge. So let's talk a little bit about some of the customer profiles that we see us helping. So one of them here is a local nonprofit organization in the Bay Area. One of the challenges that they have is frequent controller reboots. The APs are dropping off the network. The biggest issue is really the manual diagnosing and the remediation takes some time. The IT leader there doesn't have a ton of RF expertise, but more importantly, the IT budget's tight. They're a nonprofit. And so our self-healing solution with the proactive monitoring and support really helps them. The OpEx model is another thing that really helps them quite a bit. A large school system that's stuck on legacy 11 APs, they're having issues with interoperability and newer clients. Ultimately, they want to be able to upgrade their solution, not only for the latest and greatest wave of AC technology, but they're also thinking about the future and the next generation down the road, and they don't want to have to worry about these ongoing refresh cycles. So our solution with the as-a-service model fits well within their budget and really enables them to keep up with the technology that's constantly changing with the devices that are coming on the network. We have a boutique hotel that we're talking to, and they basically have a current cloud-based solution that's difficult to configure and troubleshoot. And the hotels are in a similar situation where they don't have a ton of IT staff, and the RF expertise is limited in this particular case. So the solution itself fits very well within their organization. It speeds up the Wi-Fi issue, and at the end of the day, for a hotel, the customers, the people that are using the hotel, coming and visiting, and so forth, they're keeping them happy, which is important. And the last example here is a community center, and similar sort of themes. The cloud-based AP management, the 24/7 monitoring and support is saving thousands of dollars of emergency IT support. Typically what they have to do is they'll call their local service provider to come and do a truck roll. That's expensive for both the organization, but it's also not very efficient for the MSP. And so what this does is enables them to operate it. On the MSP side, the solution works very well for the MSP that we're working with because they're able to charge a regular monthly support fee for the community center, but their organization is able to manage their costs effectively and really understand how well the solution is going to contribute to their bottom line as well. So we talked a little bit about some of the outcomes that we expect. Really what we're trying to do is enable very successful BYOD and just Wi-Fi in general across multiple sites, or easily add new offices. The remote management costs and truck rolls really get minimized in this sort of model. The in-house RF or wireless LAN expertise, what we're trying to do is free you guys from the daily Wi-Fi troubleshooting and optimization activities so that you can go do the projects that have always been sitting on your plate that are going to really add value to your organization. I doubt anyone on this phone here is got tons of free time and able to really tackle the projects that are really critical to their business, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do. We want you to be able to reliably and securely deploy those business critical applications on your Wi-Fi network, enabling business growth. And then the evergreen subscription-based model, really allows you to avoid that really expensive upfront solution, very costly, one-time expenses that you're having to do with the refreshes. It moves you into a very consistent operational model that ultimately is going to drive down costs for you. We've got a couple quotes here. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this. Really what I wanted to do is introduce to you guys our platform and our service and get a chance to get feedback from this community. I appreciate your time answering the poll questions. We will be hosting another webinar with Spiceworks in the new year. We'll demo and walk through the solution in real time. We'll talk a little bit more detail around how our machine intelligence system solves the day-to-day Wi-Fi challenges, and we'll have a discussion about how you can leverage your newly acquired free time. Until then, we have some materials on the website. You can see a demo from one of our sales folks. Be happy to walk you through it, and I'd welcome you guys to subscribe to the blog as well. Now let's. I think we can dive into some questions here.
Yeah, let's go ahead and answer some of these questions. So we've got a few questions, guys, but continue to get your questions in so we can get John to answer those live. Let's see, John, our first question is from Max. He asks, I really like the as a service approach. Does your solution allow for me to pay up front for the whole year?
Yeah, so basically what we do is there's a monthly fee that we charge. It's effectively $25 per month per AP, and we ask for that first year up front, and then there's no commitment beyond that. So what it would do is it'd basically be sort of an annual renewal process that we'd go through with the solution.
Great. Adam asks, is there a minimum size to really benefit from this service? We are a smaller office and currently use 3 Unify.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Unify ACAPs. Sorry about that, Adam.
Yeah, no, there's no minimum size. I think it really comes down to what amount of time you're spending and how that works. I think the real benefit is the time that you're going to get back in your day because of the way the service operates. Not at all. I think any small office or smaller organization could benefit.
All right, here's a good question from Sam. He wants to know how easy it is to set up out of the box.
So I hinted at this earlier, and the setup is intended to be very, very simple, so that anyone can set it up. So the bonding process is intended to be very, very easy. We actually, with the mobile app, there's a QR code reader that we've got that you just basically bond to you scan the AP. That does it, and you plug it in. It calls the cloud, and it's set up. So the idea really is to be able to very simply either use some standard configurations that we've deployed, or you can very simply set up a captive portal or some other elements. And then our team is on the back end really enabling the system to operate effectively with all the advanced settings. So the customer portal is designed to kind of do the bare minimum. We're providing you a lot of data about how things are working, but we have on our end a much more sophisticated setup with all the advanced settings, and our team of experts are the ones that would do a lot of the very specific adjustments on the network, and so you don't really have to do that.
Great. So, John, here's a good question from John. Can your solution overlay existing Wi-Fi networks, or do we have to rip and replace?
So the system, it can easily fit alongside other networks, or as you're growing, or maybe you're moving, or you've got remote offices that you want to tackle first. But we do have our own APs. So where you have a system that's working, it can work interoperably, and I should say, I'll qualify that. It's not intended to, the cloud solution isn't intended to work with other vendors' APs. We have our own APs. So the natural, cycle is with a refresh, you're moving locations, or say, you've got some areas of your network where where you want to replace some of the APs, and you're not ready to replace all of them. We could replace those, provide that service, and that's just one part of the network that you no longer have to work with. We've got the ability to see the other RF emitting elements within the network. So it could be other APs, it could be any kind of other device that's clogging the RF environment. We're able to see that, manage that, and really optimize the network around that. So in that sort of situation, you would be fine for a brownfield type deployment.
Great. Let's see. Our next question: what is the free AP refresh criteria, and does it always have to be 4 years?
So the 4-year period is really when we would just send you the latest and greatest sort of automatically as part of your subscription. What we do provide is the ability to upgrade earlier than that if that's something that you want to do, and we charge a small fee for that. So I think I hinted at this earlier, but basically the way it would work is you have the normal subscription service. But then say in year one you wanted to upgrade to the latest and greatest, we'd ask you to pay an additional $100 per AP for that. If you wanted to do it in year two, it'd be $75. In year three, it would be $50, and then in year four, as we talked about, it's included and would be free. So that's the way it works. So you know, but keep in mind, you know, the latest waves in the new technology are really driving huge amounts of bandwidth, and what we're seeing is that most of the bandwidth isn't being utilized. The performance, the issues that are coming up are not necessarily because people are running out of bandwidth. And within the solution, you've got a nice mobile app and the dashboard to look at how well the performance, how much utilization you're using, and so forth. And there's a ton of techniques out there. The other key piece is the types of devices that are coming on the network. So, you know, are your devices that you're seeing, you know, within your environment, how many of them are really leveraging the 5 gigahertz, you know, part of the network where 11AC operates? You know, how much of that movement is really going to impact? So we're giving you the data to make the best decision for your organization, rather than the typical vendor approach. You know, I worked at Cisco for over 13 years, and the approach there is really about trying to convince folks that they need this latest and greatest technology, whether or not they have the information to make that right decision or not. So what we're doing is we're going to give you all the visibility to, you know, who's on the network, who are the users, how much traffic is passing through, and so forth. And then, you know, if the technology node is going to help you, we can help you with that decision. But frankly, we don't think that you need it. The way that we're operating the network and optimizing all the different levers that we can use, we're going to help you delay that need to refresh until it's the right point. That's a good question.
All right, guys. So as we promised, we were going to try and keep this to a 30-minute webcast. We do still have quite a few questions that we need to get to, but we'll take those offline and have somebody with Art2Wave follow up with you. So John, thank you so much for that fantastic presentation, and hopefully everybody was able to learn a bit more. But do you have any final words for our audience?
No, I appreciate the engagement from this group. I think this community we really value. You know, you guys are in the business. You know, you guys are seeing this every day. So I appreciate the feedback in the polls. You know, we've set up, I think, recently our community site within the community. So if you have questions, you know, feel free to reach out there. You know, I'd encourage you guys to, if you want to learn more, you know, there's more information on the website, and we look to host another webinar with the Spiceworks folks next month, and we'll go into more details and talk about some of the use cases and so on. So for the first foray and the first outing, appreciate the questions and the engagement, and look forward to more.
All right, guys, as mentioned, we will be following up with you if your question wasn't addressed live. And also, if you had to step out or miss any part of today's presentation, you will be receiving an email in a few days with a link to view the webinar on demand. Also, as John mentioned, look out for additional Art2Wave webinars coming in 2016. You can check those out on the community calendar. Special thanks to Art2Wave for creating today's content and sponsoring this great event. And also thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in today. We hope to see you back soon for another Spiceworks Partner webinar. But until then, stay safe and keep it spicy.